Okay, this is day 12 of this Vauxhall Vivaro Campervan Conversion, and the weather outside is absolutely terrible. It's raining and it's really cold in the workshop, although it's getting on in the year now. So what we're going to do is just see what we can get on within the workshop, because we're not going to be able to get in and out of the van with this amount of water on the ground. But we have things to get on with here. Last time, you may recall from the other video, we finished making this cabinet and made the drawers and all the drawer and door fronts. So to begin with here, I'm going to start putting the drawers in here. I'm going to put the fronts on, put the latches on, make sure everything works properly, and if the rain does break, we'll get back into the van and do some first fix electrics. And if the rain doesn't break, then we've got a little bit of electric work we can do in here, and then I think it's probably just going to be tidy the workshop up or something like that. So we'll see how this all goes. So to fix the rails to the drawer, first of all we want to get a spacer in the bottom here, and this is a piece of 5mm ply, and I'm going to put that in there so that we have equidistant between the top and the bottom here, because we made this 1 centimetre smaller than the opening. Now we can mark where the rails go here on the front of the drawer, and then take this back out take the front part of the rails off, and then we'll fix them on in place on the drawer. So we have our marks here. We have these marks here for the rail. I'm just going to continue one of those up the full length of the drawer. Like that. And then our rail is going to sit on there, and we just want a few screws through there to keep that on. So let's get to it. Now don't want this to move around when I'm fixing it on. So the way I'm going to do this, let's make sure we're lined up there properly. That is correct. I'm going to draw just a circle where I want to put these screws. Make sure we're nice and flush against the front there, which we are. Now I'm going to brad these right in the centre of them, like so. And then I have these 16mm screws to put through them. Now 16mm screw is going to go right through the drawer, so we're going to have to grind that off on the inside, but these will hold it better than a smaller screw. Now same on the other side with the other rail, and then we'll see what we've got. Okay, so we've got both of them on, and now if everything has gone according to plan, and if our measurements have been correct, the drawer should slide in there quite nicely. There it is. That's good. Right. We can do the same with this one down here. Then we'll clean them up. As I say, they will need grinding on the inside, and then we'll look at putting the fronts on all of these. Next thing we want to do is get these latches onto the drawer fronts and doors and stuff like that. And there's a couple of screws come with this. I'll just show you what I've done here. I've put the front part on. I will take that back off when we lacquer this. I just want to make sure that that moves freely and that everything's good there, and that all looks good to me. So what I'm going to do again is put a brad in the center of these holes, just to keep everything square. If these are offset, the latch might go like this or go like that, and then it won't open or shut properly. So we want to get the dead center of those holes and make sure that it stays square on our door. And then we just want a couple of screws in there, and that's fine. You see, that will work nice and smooth operation. So we can take this part back out for now and get on to the next one. And these are all the same. They just want the latches putting on the back. Same with the doors that we're going to be using here. And as I say, the best bet I've found is to put this on in first, so that we know that we've got the latch in the right position. and if that's moving freely, that's good to go. And just whilst we're on with doing the furniture on the doors, we might as well put the hinges on here as well. So I'm going to measure down here 12 centimeters. I'm going to measure up from the bottom 12 centimeters, and we'll just pull that mark across, and the same for the bottom one. And what I have for these is some of these flush hinges, this sort of thing, and I'm just going to pop that one on there on the 12 mark, and I'll do the same with this bottom one. Now I'm going to put these on with 13mm screws, which are not huge, but they are sufficient to hold it. So we've got that there. Again, we want to put a brad hole here because we do want the hinge to sit flush. That's it. And we'll stick one of those screws through there. Looking good. And the same there. Okay, so with all the hinges on, the next thing to do is to start fixing these fronts to the drawers and to this frame. Now, the thing here, I don't know if you can see this, when we put this drawer front on, the latch now hits the drawer. So what we want to do is find the centre of the drawer, measure the latch and cut that piece out. And it'll also need a piece cutting out on, I'll show you here. It'll also need a little piece cutting out here. But we'll do the drawers first and then get these fronts fitting properly. Okay, so we just and with that cut out there, we need to transfer it onto here. And what we have is a line here. We know where the bottom of the drawer is going to sit, bottom of the drawer front, so we can put that on there, line it up with the sides, and that tells us that this needs to come out to there. So I'm going to measure this, and then I'm going to take the same amount off everywhere where there is a latch, because it will be the same throughout. And with those out, at this point we can actually start fitting the drawer fronts. So I'm going to do this one first. These may need a little more rasping to get them to fit perfectly, but I would rather have them under than over at this point, because we want the drawer to be a nice tight fit. Here is our drawer front, and I can see straight away there that that should be fine. Now I'm going to line that up with either side. We'll line it up with the bottom. Now I'm just going to clamp that on there, and then I'll screw it through from the back of the drawer. Okay, this is all clamped up. It's all good with the lines that we put on earlier. Now I'm going to go around the back and put a few screws through into the drawer front. Yes, we just want to make sure that we go through into the frame of the door and not the cladding, because the screw would come right through the cladding. So we've got a space up the top here where we can get this in, and there'll be a similar space down the bottom. So we want to drill a couple of little pilot holes in there. And the idea is just to get a screw in there. Okay, that's all looking good. Now we want to try the latch, and we find that the latch is a little bit tight, and that's because this line here wants to come back just a touch. But as I say, these are best off tight than slack. So what I'll do with that is I'll just take a chisel, a sharp chisel, and I'll take a few shavings off that until we get this to work properly. But first I'll put the top drawer in also. We can always take these out to adjust these later. So I'm going to do the same thing with the top drawer, and then we'll get on with the doors. Okay, drawers are looking good. They are all very good. Now, next thing we want to do is put this locker front on, which is going to sit there. And to get to these hinges, I'm going to flip this on its back, and I'll just be able to access it much easier doing that. Now to do this, I've got the locker front on, and I've got it aligned with the drawers. Centre line on all of that cladding is spot on. Now what we want to do is just mark the back of that hinge, and we'll mark the sides of it also. And because this is going to be quite difficult to see, if we take a separate hinge and line it up with those marks that we've just made, and then we'll just draw one of the holes in there. Same on the other side, draw the hole in there. Now I'm going to brad them, stick that on, and see if we're good. Okay, that being that, we can now get the hatch on, lined up with those holes, and screw them in. I'm going to go with that. A little bit tight there still on the latch, but as I say, what we can do is just take a little bit off here until we get all of these latches working nice and smooth. And then I'm going to hang the doors, which is exactly the same procedure. So I'm just going to get on with that, then we'll come back and have a look at what the next phase is. Alrighty, this is looking good. We've got all these lockers, drawers and door fronts on. Some of them do need a little bit of shaving on the back just to make them a little bit easier to handle. This one's okay here. Once a little bit off the top of that, a little bit tight. So I'm just going to adjust all these, get them all working properly, and then I'm going to take them back off, because at that point we're going to lacquer them and start painting this framework. Alrighty, they are all much better now. That one will lock nice and tight, and it will open easily. Same with the rest of these. Locked solid, easy open. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to take the drawers out and take the lockers and doors back off. But first of all, I am going to tidy the workshop up. It doesn't look like the rain is going to give up today, so we're not going to get back outside on the van at all. So before doing any painting and lacquering, I'll just get rid of some of the sawdust in here. Okay, I've tidied up a little bit in here, which is good. And we have all of the doors and everything back off the frame. And the idea is to paint this at this point. And what I have for it is some of this here. Now, this is called Venetian crystal. And I believe it's a nice dark, rich dark blue colour. Look at that. That's really something. That'll contrast beautifully with the dark carpeting in the van and the light wood. So what we're going to do is give that a stir, and we're going to pour some into this little tray. Won't want a lot of this. There's not really a lot of paint work to do here, so I'll just try that much. Always add a little bit more if we need to. And we have a roller to apply that, and I think what I'll do, if I can get all this out of the way, I will tackle this panel first. So we want to load up the roller. This may take a couple of coats, I don't know, but this is an eggshell finish, so it'll be a really strong finish on this, and that's looking good. Yes, I like that. I'll just do the front of it. Yeah, happy with that. That will take 2 coats, I can tell right now, but so far so good. Now I'm going to get on and do the rest of this, and then we'll come back and start lacquering the doors and drawers. Alrighty, that's the paint work done. Now the next thing we want to do is just lacquer these drawer fronts and doors, and I'm using the same stuff that I've used for the ceiling here, so this will blend in beautifully with the ceiling in the van, and I'll be using this for the worktop also, so it's all going to be colour coordinated, matching. We just want to give this a good coat of this lacquer, then we'll let them dry off, sand them down, give them another coat. Alright, now while we are waiting for the rain to stop, there's a couple of things we can do with this battery box. One of them would be to wire this fuse in. So I'm going to place the fuse there, I'm going to put a couple of screws through it, then we want a connection from here to the ignition. or alternator terminal on the energy unit. So I'll just place that about there. This is just a fuse which is coming from the connection to the starter battery into this unit here. So we'll get a cable from the starter battery and that'll go here, and I want another one from here going to this part here. So there it is, and we want that to go from there, we want it to go into there, and we'll put a little bit of slack on it, so I'm going to cut that about there. Rightio, and with that cut we're just going to strip the edges of it, or the ends of it. Right, I have a bag of these crimps, and that will fit over there nicely, and I'm sure it will also go into there. So we want to put this on this end of the cable and crimp that on, another one on the other side, and we can connect them two up. To do that I have this hydraulic crimping tool, and they're quite awkward to use. I found this quite awkward to use. So what I'm going to do first of all is just get it to just nip the crimp so it's holding it, and then we'll put the wire into it and then crimp it the rest of the way. And we just want to cut a couple of pieces of that, and then around these terminals we want to put some of that, and we want to heat that up just to tighten it around the terminal. You could do this with a heat gun, but I don't have one, so I'm just going to do it with this lighter, and that will do fine, as long as we don't set fire to it. Obviously we just want the heat from the flame. There it is, that's fine. Now next one on the other side, exactly the same. Alrighty, so that piece of wire is ready. We can take the nut off here, and this also has a spring washer and a normal washer. We can pop that on there, put the washers back on, and then tighten that up. Very good. And next thing, I'm going to put this on. This is going to take the solar onto the bottom lug here, and from this top lug that's going to go up this way and into the PV connection. So again, I'll just secure that on first. And as I say, this is for the solar, so I'm just going to write an S on that wood so we know that that's the solar, and this one will take charge from the battery to the fuse box. So we want some of this solar cable to come. We could take it that way, I suppose. Yeah, we could take it that way and then through onto the top of there. So again, we'll put this about here, we will strip the ends of this, and then it's the same deal. Okay, so we've got this one wired in, and as I say, we're coming from the starter battery to here, we're coming from the solar to here. Now this one is going to go to the fuse box. We need to get another cable in before we can do that, but the top section of this is going to the battery. So we can place the battery in here, and we can cut this cable and get it ready, and then any others that we can get ready. We could get the negative battery terminal sorted out, and we could get the positive battery terminal sorted out from this side. So that's what we do. Okay, so that's about all we can do with that right now. We have the negative terminal connected up to here. The rest of the negatives really have to be put in when we are in the van. We want one from here to the chassis of the van, and we want the other ones, as I say, from the DC to DC and the solar, and then one from here to the fuse box. So that's about as much as we can get done today. I'm going to give these doors and drawers another coat of lacquer, second coat of lacquer, and then we have to wait for the weather to turn. So I thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, do give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to see how this whole build turns out, do subscribe to the channel. Loads more videos on this particular build to come, and I thank you very much for watching.